Hi, everybody. It's Jeannie Lyons, CEO and founder of Accelerated Synergies. And we're here today. Hopefully this is not doing a bunch of lag because this is something new with where Facebook is putting my buttons now. And I'm so excited to introduce you to Michelle Darley. And Michelle, hi, Michelle. Michelle is an experienced coach and trainer and talent acquisition professional. So I guess HR expert isn't a term used anymore. Is that correct, Michelle?
I don't know that it's not used. I wouldn't say I'm a human resources expert. I would say I'm more of a recruiting expert, recruiting training, interview coaching expert. That's where I would put myself.
Oh, that's great. And you've been coaching and training people for your entire career and have the ability to coach individuals and groups on whether they want to get a new job, get promoted, or make a complete career pivot.
Yes.
So I bet you've seen thousands of resumes that you're,
thousands.
oh, wow. And you're uniquely equipped to write, rewrite, edit, and review resumes to make sure things are being promoted to the right people.
Absolutely.
That is so, so important, especially in this day and age. So Michelle is also highly skilled at designing and delivering training to all levels of organizations and has worked in a variety of industries and fields for well-known companies like, wow, Johnson & Johnson, Korn Ferry, and PNC Bank. She's a certified teacher in the state of New Jersey, certified behavioral-based interviewer, certified behavioral-based interview trainer, expert insights on coaching and keeping your coachee committed and accountable. And wow, that's something that I find really important in this day and age, is keeping our clients accountable, right?
That's true.
So gosh, Michelle, why have you decided to pivot your career right now?
That's a great question. I started recruiting because I really love helping people, and calling people and talking to them about a possible job is a great thing. People, if they're looking for a job, maybe they're not looking for a job, but hearing that someone's interested in them, interested in their experience, and then possibly getting a job, being able to say, hey, guess what, you got the job, it's a great feeling. Something else that I have really enjoyed about my job is just talking to the candidates, finding out what they like and dislike about their job, sometimes giving them advice about their resume, or if I get feedback after their interview, giving them advice about, hey, this was your feedback, this is what I would do for your next interview. And one of the things that I got to do when I was working at Johnson & Johnson was work in their career center. So when you work for a company like J&J, it's so big, and they do have layoffs. Every company does. Obviously now companies are having huge layoffs. And I worked in their career center, and it was 4 people that got laid off. And sometimes it was people that had worked there for 20, 30 years. You think you're going to work at one place forever, and it doesn't happen. And I worked with these people, and I showed them, I know it's an awful feeling, and let me show you what you can do now. Let me show you how to do your resume. Let me show you how to search for jobs. Let me show you how to not feel so bad about yourself. Because a lot of when you're laid off, it's not your fault. Everybody that got laid off now from COVID, we didn't do anything wrong. I got laid off from COVID. And that's why I got this opportunity to make the pivot, because when this happened, and I love recruiting, I have loved it the whole time I've done it, but I wanted something a little bit different. I love helping people. And I think that was the big thing that I found out when I did some soul searching after my layoff, is I want to help people. And especially now, people that I know very close to me have gotten sick. And so many people that I know have lost their jobs. And it kills me to see that. And all I want to do is help people get back on their feet, help them get their lives back on track. And, you know, also if people are in jobs that they're unhappy with, if people want to make career changes, I want to help people with that. If I can make people grow, if I can help motivate people to do things in their life that make them feel passionate the way that I feel passionate about my career, that there's nothing better than that. And it's such a great feeling to be able to do so.
Wow, that's fantastic. And your passion really shines through, Michelle.
Thank you.
I'm so excited because your skills are needed so much right now. I know I worked for a big pharma company and we would do cyclical layoffs. And, you know, it was a great company because they did offer the post-career support like what you did. And, you know, so many companies right now are not doing that. And that's one of the reasons I developed my new program, the ABCs of Confident Career Change, because maybe this is the right time to make a pivot if you can do that.
I agree.
So what is one of the primary mistakes that people make on a resume?
I think one of the biggest mistakes and one of the biggest things that I'm asked about is this thing about the one-page resume. If you've been working for more than 10 years, it's really difficult to cram that experience into one page. And I don't expect anybody to have, if they've got more than 10 years of experience, to get that experience on one page. Am I going to read 5 pages of a resume? Probably not. The most important thing is to have the relevant information on the first page. Experience from 20 years ago is probably not as relevant as your experience in the last 10 years. So on your first page of your resume, in your summary, and I say summary, not objective, because everyone's objective is the same. Your objective is to get a new job.
Right.
So get rid of your objective and put a summary instead. And in your summary, highlight the important things. And then you want to put your information chronologically, highlight the most important things, again, that you did in each of those jobs. If you could get it to 2 pages, great. 3, I would say, is the max, unless you have a more scientific or clinical resume where you're going to have a lot of your publications listed, and that's more expected for that area. You know, when I work with scientists and clinicians and things like that. But again, that summary is going to say, you know, this person, expert XYZ, has done this and that, successful with this and that. And because your resume is your sales document, it's the first thing as a recruiter. That's the first thing I see. I'm going to read that. And that's what helps me make my decision. Is this person going to the next step? And I can talk to people and they'll say, Michelle, I did this and I did that, but it's not on their resume. How do I send that to a manager? Because the manager is going to read the resume and say, I don't see this on the resume. It's very important to have your pertinent information on the resume.
Okay. So now my big question to you with ATS, automatic tracking system, is how does that resume get to your eyes?
Great question. So some resumes do go through a parsing system. Most resumes in the last, I would say, 10 years that I've been working, I get the whole resume. Now, for people that have been applying lately, they'll ask certain questions as you're applying. You know, are you legally authorized to work in the United States? You know, do you have 10 years of experience? So if the position requires 10 years of experience and you have 3, and you answer that you do not have 10 years of experience, you may not make it to me because I won't see the people that aren't qualified. So you have to be careful when you're answering those questions. I'm not going to recommend lying, because if I get the resume and I need 10 years of experience and you have 3, I'm still not going to move forward with you. The most important thing is to have the experience that we're looking for. And with that, it's important to tailor your resume for the position you're applying to. So I might have a recruiting resume and a coaching resume, but I still have to tailor it every time I apply for a job, because you want your resume to have the keywords that are in the job description of the job you're applying for.
Is that one of the biggest mistakes you see? Because that's one of the things that I talk to my clients about, is making sure that your keywords on your resume match the keywords in the job description.
It's really important, and I do see that, and it also goes with cover letters, which are not always necessary. And I have gotten cover letters that have nothing to do with the job that they're applying for. So people might have a standard cover letter that has nothing to do with the position that they're applying for, and then that makes me think this person has no idea what they're applying for. They're not paying attention, they're not invested, they're not that interested, and they're just, you know, kind of throwing spaghetti to the wall to see what sticks.
Wow. Yes. So a cover, now I did always have a cover letter, I have to say. And one time though, I did make a mistake, because it was pretty standard. You know, I would copy and paste and insert keywords, and I would say something like, I really think my skills would be an asset to mutually beneficial to ABC company. And one time I forgot to change it. Oh my gosh.
I mean, mistakes happen. We're human, and if it's one time, it's not a big deal. I think it's if it's a consistent problem, that's, and you know, people need to really take the time and go over everything, because we will notice spelling mistakes and we will notice commas out of place, because that's what recruiters do. If this position requires attention to detail and there's errors, that's something that is going to make me say, this person doesn't pay attention to detail. It's not going to move forward. You could have every skill possible, but if you've got errors, then you were not paying attention to detail.
Wow. Okay. So, and thank goodness for spell check nowadays. There's really not a lot of excuse to have those kinds of errors in there. So what about soft skills? How would you highlight soft skills in, do you do it in the body of the resume? Do you do it in your cover letter?
You can do it in a variety of ways. I would do it more in the summary, and it depends on the position. So if you're applying, let's say you're applying for a coaching position. So soft skills are super important for a coaching position. You want to highlight, you know, highly skilled at connecting with others, highly skilled at negotiating, if that's a skill that you're looking for. So the soft skills, because that's not in your body of your resume, you're listing your accomplishments. What did you do? Why was it successful? In your summary, you're going to highlight your skills and why you might be an expert in what you do. And those soft skills are what add to your successes, because you wouldn't be successful at what you do, because I could be a great recruiter, but have a horrible personality, or not even horrible, just not the right personality for a recruiter. So you want to make sure that your summary highlight, I'm using my hands and they don't show. You want to have the right personality showing to go with the body of your resume of what you've done.
So what is the difference between a functional resume and a chronological resume? And can you use either or?
The difference is that a chronological resume will take you back through your career from most current to furthest away. A functional resume is more of paragraph form, kind of describing your skills, your careers. Personally, I prefer chronological resume. Functional resumes at the executive level, that's when I think I see them the most. If you are in a mid-level to middle management position, the chronological is still important. Once you get to C-level, that's when the functional resume would come in, because we already know what you've done. Now, if you are making a huge career change, going from A to Z in your careers, you might want to try a functional resume, because that's when your transferable skills will come in. So I've been recruiting, HR, training, coaching. Maybe I want to go into sales, so I might want to use a functional resume to highlight what I've done in a different way. That's not going to show well in a chronological resume, because all my chronological resume talks about is recruiting, training, and coaching.
Wow, that's really important. And the other thing that I've heard is that don't go back too far with your experience, because it shows your age.
That's true. So two things: A, take the dates of your graduation off. If you have a college degree, we don't need to know when you graduated from college. And also if you have a college degree, don't put your high school degree on there, because if you have a college degree, it's likely that you have a high school diploma. And you do not need to go back to the first job you ever had. I've seen resumes where people put candy striper, and that might have been 35 years ago. And that's not relevant to your senior marketing manager position that you're looking for now. So I don't have all of my recruiting experience on my resume, or my coaching experience, because what I did in 1997 is not really relevant to what I'm doing in 2020. So I cut mine back. That's what I would suggest people to do, that for the size of your resume, and also because of the relevancy of your resume. What somebody did 15, 20 years ago is not going to affect what they're doing now.
Great information. So what are some questions that people come to you with? What can you help them do with their resumes?
So what I can help people do with their resumes is make it pop. Make it so people read it and say, I want to hire this person because I can see what they've done. So you could laundry list all these skills that you have, or all these responsibilities that you have. But what people really want to see when they're reading a resume is, what have you accomplished and why was it important? So I could say, I hired X amount of people in this year. Well, that's amazing, but what does that mean? Besides the fact that that's a lot of people, but maybe that many people isn't a lot, or maybe it is, but like, how does that help? Well, if
maybe
I hired,
you had too much turnover.
yeah, so if I hired that many people, that means that we didn't use outside agencies, and we saved the company a lot of money. So you always want to put not just what you did, but how it helped. So you want to have your accomplishment and also what it did to help the whole organization, because you want to show that you're not just focusing on yourself, but what you could do for the company that you're applying for.
Great. What other questions do people have for you?
I think one of the questions that people ask me the most, the question, and this is something when I do interview training, that the toughest question I think for people is, tell me about yourself. Because it's very open-ended and people get startled by that. What am I going to tell people about that? I tell people to practice an elevator speech. An elevator speech is really just enough time, you find something that you could talk about. It's enough time to go up in an elevator with somebody and say, hey, let me tell you about myself. And you want to get at least 3 really important things about yourself into that conversation. So, hi, I'm Michelle. I've been recruiting for 20 years. I've worked for really big companies. I have experience doing X, Y, Z. And, I worked for, I lost my train of thought for a second, but you just want to have, 3 good things and practice. You always want to practice because you don't want to be losing your train of thought like I just did, or not remembering what you want to say. That's something that's really important for every interview, is to practice, know your answers, have a list of questions. And that's something that I would give to people, is a list of possible questions, and have those answers written out. Practice those answers. I do mock interviews with people. I'll do one first to see how you do, and then we do one at the end, just so people can see, oh my God, I've improved. Look
Wow.
how much better I am now. And that's important because it makes people will feel more confident when they see how much they've improved and how much they learn.
Oh, I think that's so valuable, Michelle. I can see so many people, because especially with my clients have had, a great deal of experience, and some of them have worked for their company for decades. So they don't have the interview skills to actually think on their feet sometimes. And
Yeah.
all the great questions. So how valuable. Wow, that's terrific. Let's see, what else? Oh, the transferable skills. So you had mentioned putting that in the summary. Is that correct?
Um, if you're applying for a job that's similar to what you did, but maybe a little bit different, you could put them in the summary and highlight what you did in your career in the body of the resume. If you're making a complete pivot, I would recommend using a functional resume over a chronological resume.
Okay, that's great. Now, with all the technology and all the, like we're doing now, these Zooms and recordings, what about a video resume? What do you think about those?
I I have not I have not gotten very many video resumes. That's not something companies I've worked for have used in the past. I can't really speak to that, to be honest with you. I'd rather not comment because I don't have anything to really say about it. That's the truth.
And some of the experts that I've heard from is like, well, how do you even get it there? And I think it could end up to be more detrimental than.
I think the only reason it concerns me is because you could have, a lot of the applicant tracking systems, they're looking for a PDF or a Word doc, and they're not going to accept a video. So now that would come in with different ways to apply for jobs, because just applying through an applicant tracking system is not the only way to get the job. And it's actually not the best way to get the job. So can I expand on that?
Oh, please, please. We want to know the best way to get that done.
Okay. So you can apply online. You can go to Monster, you can Google job search, you can go to Indeed and LinkedIn, which is one of my favorite places. But what you see on those sites is that some of those jobs have been posted a long time. Some of those jobs have been posted 6 months, and you'll see on LinkedIn, it'll tell you 600 people applied. Do you want to be 601? I don't. So go to the company websites, because those companies will have the more up-to-date roles. And a lot of them will show you also when they were posted. So they may repost it on their website, but it doesn't get refreshed to LinkedIn because there's no mechanism in the applicant tracking systems to automatically post to LinkedIn and refresh it. So anytime I would post a job on an applicant tracking system, I would then go to LinkedIn and repost it on there. So that's one thing. The other thing is you have to network. networking has never, ever been more important than it is now. It's always been important, but now it's even more important. So many people are out of work, and you never know who you're going to meet. So I moved a month and a half ago, and I lost my job 10 days later.
Oh,
And I walk around, I have a dog, I walk her, and I talk to people. So I tell strangers, I just lost my job. And wouldn't you know, I've met somebody that works for Comcast. There's like 3 recruiters that work in my building.
wow.
So yes, so you never know who you're going to meet. I talk to people everywhere. I've talked to people in airports. I've talked to people online at the store. You never know where you're going to meet people. I recommend people, if they're in more of a corporate environment, and even not, LinkedIn, make a profile, start making connections, introduce yourself to people. Don't just throw out connections like a friend invite saying, just connect. Make it personal. Hey, I heard about you from XYZ, or Michelle told me to introduce myself to you, or I heard about your company, I'd really be interested in learning more about it. Because when you get an invitation that's personalized, we're going to remember you. They're going to remember you. And if you're looking for a job, people really want to help. I mean, that I want to help people that are looking for a job, and a lot of them are. And those jobs that you see posted on LinkedIn, typically you can find people that are connected to the company, and that's who you want to get your resume to. You can apply, but you also want to go to the poster and say, hey, I saw that job. Can I send you my resume too? Because that extra step, that extra act of sending your resume directly to a person instead of an applicant tracking system is going to give you a little bit more of an edge.
Wow, that's so valuable. And sometimes when I see a job that's been posted for a long time, and if it hasn't been filled, I'm thinking, what's wrong with this?
Yeah, and a lot of people wonder, are they just gathering resumes? And what happens sometimes, and it's happened to me, I will be recruiting for a position, getting resume after resume after resume, and then the powers that be say, you know what, we can't fill this position right now. It happened to me last year, and obviously it happened to me this year. I had people that I made offers to, and we couldn't hire them. It happens. But having the connections, because then you've made those connections, and then even if something happens, you're going to know those people for the next time. And you never know when you might need somebody, or maybe they need you, and then it becomes a closer connection, and then their people. And it's like that old commercial that I don't know how many people remember, but they told 2 friends, and they told 2 friends, and so on and so on and so on. So you start with one person, and then suddenly you have a network of 500 people, 1,000 people, and people have 10,000 connections on LinkedIn. It's amazing. And I can tell you that the last, I want to say 5 jobs that I've gotten have been on LinkedIn, and the last 10, not 10 jobs, I don't think I've had 10 jobs in the last whatever years, but through people I know. I can't remember the last time I think one job that I've gotten in the last few jobs was just from applying online.
Yes. So it really is true. It's not necessarily what you know, but who you know, correct?
Yes. And I've also seen that in a lot of the organizations that I've worked for, where I'll be reading resumes, networking to get resumes, and then they say, hey, Michelle, this person came from someone on the team, this person came from someone on another team, so-and-so knows them, so-and-so met them, and those are the people that get the jobs. So it is a lot of times it is who you know.
Oh, yes, that's important. And I'm thinking back right now, and yes, that's true. Most of the jobs that I've gotten are through connections, not through sending out blind resumes. So, and I've heard that 80% of the jobs are actually gotten through networking rather than,
It's true. And I would say at my last company, maybe I would say 80% of the people that I hired were through people that were handed to me by other people that, you know, they were connected to.
Wow.
Oh, I worked with this one. I worked with this one. I worked with this one. Hey, Michelle, this is someone I know. And once one person hears, oh, they know so-and-so, that gives them, it gives them a leg up. And when I would talk to candidates and they would say, oh, I know this person, I would say, make sure when you're on your interview, you mention that. And I would put it in my notes that I would send to a manager. This person knows so-and-so. And so because those relationships are important. The other thing I want to mention is don't burn your bridges. As you might hate your boss, you may have had a huge fight with them. As if hold it in. You can be mad outside, you can be mad with your friend, you can be mad with your family, but if you're in an interview and someone asks you, why did you leave your last job? You can just say, it wasn't a good fit. It wasn't a good fit. It wasn't a good commute. Soften it up. You know, we all know people don't leave jobs, they leave bosses. That's all over the place. We leave our boss.
Wow.
I'm not going to ask you much more. If you tell me it wasn't a good fit, I'm not going to dig into that. There's a lot of places I think everyone's worked where it just wasn't a good fit. It happens.
Yeah. And you know, my basic philosophy on people is that people do the best they can at the time. So yes, you know, I've been a hiring manager and I'm sure I've probably had somebody leave because of me, or because, you know, personalities just don't always fit. And that's okay. And whenever I left the job, I always looked at it as an opportunity to be able to explore myself more.
Yes. And I think, I always want everybody to like me, but I know enough to know that not everybody will, and that's okay, because you're going to work to work. You're not going to work to make friends. It's much more important to be respected than it is to be liked. You don't have to go out and have a beer with the people that you work with after work. If you want to, it's great. If you don't want to, go home. You don't have to be best friends. And I actually don't recommend that you be best friends with the people that you work with. It's better to keep that a little bit separate.
I can agree with that, because yeah, you don't want relationships bleeding into the workspace, because that can become really unproductive. Wow. So Michelle, you have a wonderful offer for our audience. And would you like to tell us about it? I'm so excited about this.
Yeah, so my offer is a free resume review. I will take your resume, I will look at it, and I can make suggestions to you. And if it's something that you're interested, we can do a rewrite, do a revision, do some additions and subtractions. If someone is interested in that, we can definitely do that.
Oh, that's so valuable. I'm really excited that you're so generous to be able to offer your time like that. And how can we get a hold of you?
I have a Facebook page. It's Michelle, Michele, Darley, D as in David, Arley. So you can just reach out to me on there. And that's probably the best way to reach me. And we can go from there.
Fantastic. So what we're going to do, everybody, I'm excited. Now, here's my shameless plug. I developed my new pilot program, the ABCs of Confident Career Change. And this is the type of value that I'm offering in this program, is to bring experts like this in so that you can get, you know, real substantive information to help you on your career change. And what we're going to do, if you are interested in being considered for, or being part of the drawing for Michelle's fantastic free offer. What I'd like you to do is put a yes below, so that what we'll do is, because of replays, and I really want everybody to get this valuable information. So on Sunday afternoon, we're going to draw the name for the lucky recipient of getting the resume review by Michelle Darley. And what I'll do is I'll collect all the names that I find below, and we'll do the drawing on Sunday afternoon. I'll do an announcement first, but it'll be around 4 p.m. Pacific time. And yes, I'm so excited. Any final words for us, Michelle?
Actually wrote a lot of notes. So
Wow.
I guess the biggest thing for me is please don't lie on your resume. We'll find out. That's a collective way of every recruiter I know. We know when you're lying, when you're talking to us, and we know when your resume, when there's lies. And the other thing is the gaps on your resume. It's not as big of a deal as you think. There's ways to put things on your resume. I have a 4-year gap on my resume. I have it posted on my Facebook page if you want to look at it. I wrote something about it.
Oh, I did see that. Oh gosh, yes. Go to her Facebook page, because that was brilliant information.
Right. So you know what? People take time off. They have to take care of their family. Something happens. They have kids. It's okay. It's okay to have a gap. There's been I've lost my job every time there's a major world event. September 11th, there was a huge recession in 2008, 2009. I lost my job again. Now COVID, lost my job. In 2020, there's going to be so many resumes with gaps, 2020 to 2021 at least. Nobody should ask one question about that gap. And if they do, I don't even know what to say, because that who could ask a question about that? But there are ways to finesse your resume to make sure that it looks nice and that the gap is explained in such a way that no one will ask questions about it.
Wow, that's so great. And for the lucky winner of your resume review, you can help address that with anyone who has that gap, and moving forward and being able to get the valuable coaching that Michelle offers specifically on doing this. I'm so excited to have had you here, Michelle.
It's been great. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. And we'll see you all Sunday afternoon, where we'll do the drawing for the resume review. So thanks for joining us today. Again, Michelle, it was my pleasure.
My pleasure too. Have a great afternoon.
Bye, everybody.